Lionsgate. Really? Lionsgate? Really? Lionsgate? Really? Lionsgate? This is how you repay me after defending Borderlands? Yes, guys, if you guys remember my Borderlands reviews like 2 weeks ago, I was one of those people who stood by that film, who defended that film. Sure, I wouldn't say it's a great movie, and I am aware that it's not a quality film, but at least I had a good time with it. And unlike people who just hate fun, at least I was positive towards Borderlands. I gave a positive review. So, and 2 weeks later, Lionsgate released another film that is probably just as controversial as the Borderlands. And dear God. Hey guys, this is Frozen Wish Studios here, and welcome back to another review. Oh, scratch that. This is not a review. This is a rant on The Crow. So The Crow is an adaptation of the graphic novel by the same name, as well as a reboot of the 1994 classic starring Brandon Lee, which I did a review on yesterday. And it came out just today in 2024. Well, it technically hasn't come out yet in the US, but I'm doing it now since it came out in my country. And it's directed by Rupert Sanders, the same director as Ghost in the Shell, which also sucked ass. And it stars Bill Skarsgård, FKA Twigs, Danny Houston, Lara Byrne, Jordan Bulger, Isabella Way, etc. And so the film tells a story, if you can even call it a story, of Eric and Shelley, who were initially prison mates. They met for the first time in prison, and there's this whole pointless backstory of them, pretty much getting to know each other in prison, and then eventually escaping prison, and then becoming a couple. And Shelley and Eric was planning to propose to Shelley, aka or they're like a fiance now. But then one day, Eric and Shelley were brutally murdered. When the demons of Shelley's dark past catch up with them. And now, but yeah, they died. But then Eric gets revived, and Eric gets revived. He comes back from the dead eventually by this old wise man who pretty much gives Eric a chance to live and to be with this girl again. But in order to do that, he has to kill the people who kill them, aka revenge. So yeah, now yes, if you guys haven't seen my review of the original Crow from 1994, go check it out. But just to recap my thoughts on The Crow 1994, that movie was such a masterpiece, and it's one of my absolute favorite movies of 1994, and it's my favorite comic book film of that decade, the 90s decade, yeah. And that movie is pretty much a love letter to Brandon Lee, who tragically passed away by an accidental gunfire. I didn't really mention that reason on why Brandon Lee died, but it was because of a gunfire from one of the props. So yeah, rest in peace to Brandon Lee. Now when the sequel was announced, the internet was giving this movie so much backlash because of the fact that Hollywood would refuse to leave the original Crow alone. Now I know nobody likes the sequels. Everybody hates them, mainly because of the fact that they don't star Brandon Lee. To me personally, I've never seen the original. I've never seen the Crow sequels, but honestly, I refuse to watch them. I don't care. Yeah, but maybe I could surprisingly one day. Maybe if they're available on the plane or something, I could check it out. But I don't care. I don't feel like it. I just couldn't care less about them. This the reboot alone is where people really drew the line with Hollywood and saying, "Oh, Hollywood, stop disrespecting Brandon Lee's death." And now, yeah, so when they released the makeup of the Crow, the new makeup, yeah, I will admit, I was not a fan of that makeup. It looked like a discounted Joker, and I can see why the internet was giving that backlash. Yeah, and they apparently, Lionsgate apparently delayed this film from June 2024 to August 2024. Yeah, because they knew that they couldn't stand a chance against Bad Boys Ride or Die, which shows that Lionsgate is was not confident in this film at all. And then when the trailer dropped, I will admit, it didn't look that bad. I didn't think the movie looked bad from the trailers. Sure, I mean, I was not over the moon excited for it. I still had some concerns with it, particularly with the makeup. But the reason why I was sort of interested in the film is for the action, specifically the violence, like all the blood and gore. I will say that the action scenes did look dope, and it made me want to see it. Plus the fact that this is a comic book film. Considering the comic book is one of my favorite genres, I always sorry. I always give the comic book movies the benefit of a doubt. I always give them a chance. And as of right now, as we speak, as I'm recording this, there has not been a Rotten Tomatoes score for this film yet. There has not been any reviews yet. And the reviews haven't even been embargoed yet. Apparently, they won't be embargoed until tomorrow night. Well, technically Friday morning in the US, because apparently it's going to be like tomorrow night, Thursday night in the US, so like Friday morning in my country. And yeah, so I got a chance to watch this film without knowing what other people thought about it. So, unlike other people where basically they rely on their reviews to see if they want to watch the film or not, I normally choose the films that I'm personally interested in to watch, that I think looks at least theater worthy. I'm not the type of people who person who would just rely on other reviews to see if I want to watch it or not. I don't care about that. I have my own instinct, and usually I have my own opinion. Sometimes I would disagree with the critics on it. So yeah, after seeing this film with a very open mind, hoping that this film wouldn't suck, what do I think of the film? Oh boy, yeah. This movie fucking sucks, man. This movie pissed me off absolutely. And the people who were very quick to suspect that this movie was going to be a failure, that this movie was going to be a train wreck, you all were right. You were right. This movie sucks. So yeah, even though I did not hate the Borderlands movie, I didn't think it was a bad film. At least now there's Lionsgate haters, people who would hate the Lionsgate films today. At least now you got something where I would actually agree on. Yeah, because this is an absolute train wreck. In fact, I'm going to go as far as say, this is probably my least favorite comic book film of this entire year. I'm not joking. This is the worst comic book film I've seen this year so far. In fact, yeah, but nothing's going to top it. Especially since I'm looking forward to Venom, The Last Stand, Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter. But yeah, even the Sony Spider-Man spin-off films are better than this. And if you ask about Madam Web, if you ask me what about Madam Web, how is this worse than Madam Web in any way? Honestly, this makes Madam Web look like Deadpool and Wolverine in comparison. It's that bad. Now, isn't it an irredeemable disaster? Is the film with no redeeming qualities to it? No, I don't think this is a film where I would not say anything positive about it, because I do have some. If there's anything I liked about this film, it's the action scenes. Yeah, the action scenes are actually pretty good. I came into this movie mainly for the action and for the minimal amount of action scenes that this movie had. They were actually pretty good. Yeah, however, all the action scenes in this film were actually shown in the trailer, and they even had clips of their own. Whether it would be the car chase, or the opera, especially the opera action scene in particular, would be my personal favorite scene in this entire film. Yeah, admittedly, that scene was dope. Yeah, and I will say that Bill Skarsgård's performance was okay. It wasn't bad. Wouldn't say it's like that particularly good either, but at least it's okay. But other than that, oh yeah, everything else. Now you might be asking me, why do you think it's worse than Madam Web? What makes Madam Web better than this? Oh, I'll tell you what it is. Now, this is a more of a me thing. I think you guys will probably say it's better than Madam Web. I feel like it, but here's what I liked about Madam Web. At least Madam Web had good characters, had decent characters, particularly with Anya Corazon and Julia Carpenter. At least they were decent characters. Oh yeah, and also Ben and May Parker as well. I would say Ben and May Parker were also pretty decent characters. But in this film, yeah, but in this film, there's no good characters. There's no character who I would like care about. There's no and and even the vast majority of the supporting characters besides Shelley, they're so forgettable. Oh yeah, also Sadie as well. In some ways, I do kind of remember Sadie, but that's pretty much it. Yeah. And at least Man of Web is a film that I remember, and I still remember what happened in that film. The Crow, I already forgot a lot that happened in this film. Even like as it's just earlier today when I'm talking about this film, like I don't remember a lot that happened in this film, which just goes to show, yeah, and it's all because of how bland, soulless, lackluster, and boring it is. The fact that this movie is boring as hell is the main reason why this film sucked. It's so boring that it makes you wonder what kind of movie you're watching. And I felt the same way too. I was like wondering, what kind of movie am I watching? This does not feel like The Crow at all. This is not The Crow. And even though I did give the action scenes as a positive, there is such a lack of action in here as well. There are a couple of scenes in the third act involving, shooting and killing, but there is literally only two major action scenes in this entire film. And both of them were shown in the trailers, and they have clips of their own, like uploaded on YouTube. Yeah, I'm talking about like that car chase scene and the opera scene, which, yeah, the opera scene is dope. I will say that. Yeah, and the violent scenes that were action scenes, they were decent sequences, especially with the gore. I will say that this movie did make a decent use of the gore, but it's not enough. Yeah, yeah, but with those, but all those action scenes, believe it or not, even like just the minimal violent scenes, they were all in the third act of the film. Yeah, this did not feel like a Crow movie at all, let alone a comic book film. It felt more like a freaking melodrama. The first half of the film mainly focused on the romance between Eric and Shelley. Their chemistry is not even good to begin with. Yeah, especially with their dialogue. You feel like my person. You feel like my person. Oh, yeah. They say to each other a lot of things that makes you question. Was this written by AI? Yeah, in fact, I hate to use the it's written by AI criticism, but it had to be applied. It has to be applied here. Some of the dialogue displayed in this film felt like it was written by AI. I'm not joking. There's this entire story that felt like a waste of a complete waste of time. It's basically about how Eric and Shelley were together, how they met, in prison. They were both prisoners, and the reason why they love each other is because they could relate to each other, but couldn't care less about that. Like, nobody cares about their backstory. We want to see some Crow shit, not melodrama shit in this film. In this film, And it literally took 45 minutes into this film before the actual story of the crow, the story that we know started, specifically with Eric and Shelley dying, and then Eric, coming back to life. You might think that the action would start there, right? Wrong. The second act of this film is basically Eric in this underworld, this like afterlife world, talking to this wise old man who tells him to kill the people who wronged him and who killed him and Shelley. And then he proceeds to like trying to investigate, slowly like search for the killers in such a slow like way where he would just watch videos, read text, and all that shit. And good God, the pacing of this movie is so insufferably slow. It is honestly one of the slowest paced comic book films I've ever seen. And as for the story, it's nothing like the original in any way at all. Like, and sure, it is different, and I guess maybe the director was trying to to have a different approach to Crow, but it just doesn't work at all. Like, there's a difference between being different and being stylistically different while still like respecting the source material, and just literally staying straight away from the source material and being disrespectful. This film is basically the latter. It doesn't understand the source material at all, up to the point where it felt like it just came off as an insult to not just the comics but the original film, and especially Brandon Lee's death. And the ending of the film, good God, the ending. Like, the ending basically makes a dumb decision that misses the point of the storyline in the source material. Yeah, I won't spoil what it is. I actually did give away a spoiler in my out-of-theater reaction, so if you want to like see the spoiler, what the spoiler was, you can do it. I will say on paper, if it's not a Crow movie, I would have liked to see that idea happen. But in the case of the Crow, it defeats the whole purpose of the story of the Crow. It's not supposed to be that way. And going back to Bill Skarsgård's performance, I mean, I did say that he was okay in the film. He was all right, not bad. But the problem with his performance is that it felt like a performance that you'd expect from a B-list actor. It didn't feel like an A-list level acting. And the other performances were forgettably bland. I mean, FWA Twigs, is that the spelling? But yeah, she was weak. And also Danny Houston, the other A-list actor in the film, he was horribly wasted. The villain of the film was so forgettable, especially with the fact that he was barely in the film. Like, he literally had no screen time. One thing the film was missing from the original was the bleak and dark tone and the stylistic stuff that the original one made. I guess maybe it's just the director's choice to not include the style of it, but at the filmmaking style, like, there is no style to it at all. It felt way too normal, and it didn't even feel dark at all. Like, it didn't feel dark. It didn't feel grounded. It didn't even feel edgy at all. It was just straight up boring, trying to manipulate the audience to appreciate the slow burn of this film. Bullshit. No one's gonna, like, you're literally just trying to bore the audience on purpose. And remember when someone behind the scene representative said that this was going to be like a scrappy indie film? Well, it felt like an indie film, and I'm talking about one of the weaker indie films, like as in one of the more boring indie films. So, in indie films, and the soundtrack. Now, one of my favorite things about the original Crow was the soundtrack, the fact that it used the rock and roll, but the soundtrack in this film. Good God, what was that? What was that soundtrack? Like, it was so, like, random. So overall, The Crow 2024 is a disgrace to the original film that took away everything fans love about that film in favor of just being another soulless, cash-grabbing reboot that no one asked for. While the action scenes are solid, It's a boring and slow-paced mess with mediocre performances, like mediocre production values, and overall just a film that I don't even think I remember. Say what you want about Borderlands, but at least their Borderlands had some life to that film and provided enough fun action scenes as well as memorable characters. Yeah, this movie can go straight into the sewers for all I care. So that said, guys, I'm going to give The Crow 2024 1 star out of 5. It came close to getting a half star, but good thing there were some things that saved it. Woo, man, yeah. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention as well. This is the second worst comic book film of the decade so far. Second only behind Morbius, and y'all know that Morbius is my least favorite comic book film of all time. So yeah, so also for my rant on The Crow 2024, what are your thoughts on the film? Would you agree with me that this movie sucked as and was an insult to the original? Or well, technically, I know you guys haven't seen the film yet, but trust me, guys, you will hate the film. I know you guys will hate it. And if I were to predict the Rotten Tomatoes score for the film, being as unbiased as I can, it'll probably be like 17%. I will say 17%. Yeah, maybe it's likely gonna be higher than Borderlands or Man Web, but I doubt. But if the score ends up being lower than I expected, I'm not gonna be surprised at all. So yeah, did my review convince you to lower expectations on the film, or do you believe me that this movie sucks, or are you going to see the film for yourself, thinking that maybe it could turn out to be good? Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for a certain rant video that you all are gonna love. It's gonna be a surprise. So yeah, bye guys.